Let's have a look at screen recording apps. These are some of the essential features that I found to be most useful when working with screen recorders. And we've worked with a lot of screen recorders and we record literally thousands of videos every year for all sorts of reasons in our business. Both for creating operation manuals, which I'm going to talk about in a second, so guides for someone doing your work for you, and also for day-to-day communications, basically keeping in touch with people who are remote from you. Video is an essential tool in your business if you want to grow with a remote team, and it's something that we're going to be talking a lot about throughout the course. So the key features that I like to look for are, first of all, can you host the videos online and instantly share via a URL? What this means is that without having to have any other app or any other software or do anything else, that you can click a button, record your screen, hit finish, and instantly you get a URL copied to your clipboard with a link to that video, and that video is hosted online, so you can share that link with anyone in the world and they can then instantly watch that video without you having to do anything else. You need to be able to store enough videos without having to increase your license and pay lots of money. And for example, using Loom, you're limited to like 25 videos before you had to upgrade to their pro version. So that's one of the limitations of Loom, and I'll talk about our recommended app in a second. The next thing is about recording your computer audio. This isn't essential for day-to-day, but it's quite useful. And if you're going to invest in one app, then you might as well get one that does everything. Recording your audio is really useful if you want to record, say, a webinar and then watch it later. If you can't record the computer audio, you have to stick your speaker on and have your mic next to your speakers, and the audio is not very good. And obviously that's a bit annoying if you're trying to do something in a different room or trying to get on with something and you've got to have that on in the background. So it's a useful thing, but it's not absolutely essential. It is, however, essential to have some basic editing. So when you're recording videos about doing work, you may cover on your screen or show on your screen some sensitive client-based information, say updating your CRM or using your accounting software, information that you wouldn't want to be in the public domain or even shared with your employees and virtual assistants. Therefore, the ability to blur out different parts of the video is really important. And what the app Screencast-O-Matic, which I'm going to talk about in a second, does that as well. Again, Loom doesn't have that. And I've referenced Loom because it's very, very popular at the moment, but it does have some important limitations. Other useful features are to be able to increase the volume of different parts of the video. So if you record something in sections, it's good to be able to normalize the volume or just increase the volume if your mic was on too low, for example. You can also cut out sections, remove silences, all those sorts of useful things for when you're recording video and making big mistakes, or staff do, and they can just cut and edit it afterwards and move bits around. Also things like inserting new recordings in the middle of recording is really useful, because if you record a video and realize there's a bit missing and you want to update that video to include every step in the process, if you can insert a recording into the middle, it means you don't have to record the whole video from scratch. And again, Screencast-O-Matic allows you to do that, whereas Loom doesn't. And also putting overlay. So if you're showing someone how to do something on a screen and then that app gets updated or some information changes, you can, by putting an overlay or an image on top of your existing video, it means you don't have to record the whole video all over again. All this stuff is just really useful when you start getting into recording tutorials for doing your work and just using video on a day-to-day basis. Another important thing to think about is when your company starts to grow. When it's just you and maybe one virtual assistant, pretty much any app will probably suffice. But at some point, you're probably going to have a team if your business is going somewhere and you want to grow your staff. So therefore, you want an option which allows you to have a professional team-based approach. This is when you can have users with different permissions and you can have a centralized store with all your videos that everybody can access and edit as required. Having the option to upgrade at an affordable rate is important, so you don't get stuck with an app that either isn't suitable for a larger business or it just gets so expensive that it's not really viable to upgrade to the app that you actually need. Again, Loom does now have team functions, but they charge you $15 per seat or per user, and that quickly gets expensive. If you start having 5 or 6 part-time staff and you want them all to have access, it really gets out of control quite quickly. And again, Screencast-O-Matic, which I'm going to talk about again in a minute, is Ideal because it gives you 10 licenses for $40 if you want the team version. There are free versions and cheap versions as well, which I'll talk about in a second. Affordability, I mentioned this just now. Really, you need something that isn't going to break the bank in the early days. Having something that has a good free option that isn't going to suddenly run out of space like Loom does, and that has a cheap options when you do need to expand your capabilities, like adding editing and things like that, is a really useful thing as well. And then one of the most important features that I've found, or the most useful features I've found after doing many hundreds and hundreds of videos over the years, is the ability to pause and rewind while recording. If you're in the middle of a video and you get interrupted, and then you have to try to remember where you left off, it can be quite difficult, and it can make the video disjointed and confusing to watch when you watch it back. So therefore, the ability to stop what you're doing, rewind a bit, listen over what you just recorded, and then carry on when you left off is a really useful thing to be able to do. Also, the ability to rewind and record over a mistake you've made is also very useful and can cut down the post-production editing, which is quite time consuming. You can cut that down massively because you can just literally re-record over a big section that you've just done because you realise you've made a mistake. In fact, I'm recording this webinar, I've done that about 3 times already, as I've realised that I wanted to add different elements to the slides. And so I've done the edits, rewound, and then I've recorded it over again. So you're watching this in practice as we speak. Again, Screencast-O-Matic has this, whereas Loom doesn't have this feature. And in fact, I've never found another app that allows you to do it, of the apps I've tested, that allows you to do this simple but really, really useful feature. So I've talked about Screencast-O-Matic in the previous slide, so I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail here. However, on this link, so bit.ly/SFO-SR, so Systems for Outsourcing Screen Recorders, SFO-SR, all lowercase. If you go to there, there's a detailed analysis of Screencast-O-Matic, the different pricing options you have, and why I think it is the best app for small businesses to use, and in fact a great app when you do start scaling. We've had up to 14 members of staff or members of our team, and we've been using Screencast-O-Matic pretty extensively over the past couple of years. We did go to Loom for a while, but then Screencast-O-Matic improved its ability to instantly share videos, and therefore we've now come back to Screencast-O-Matic as a one-stop shop. Great editor, great free options, great options or very cheap options to upgrade. For example, it's like $165 for the editor, and it's not expensive when you want to upgrade and have up to 100 gigabytes a month in bandwidth. There's also no upper limit of how many videos you can record and upload. Even on the on the free version, there's no limit to the number, just the total per month that you're allowed to upload. Again, it's cheap to upgrade anyway. It also has great team options and the ability to add your branding and basically make your videos look professional. So if you are showing these out to the public, you can make it basically play in a nice player without having to invest in something like Vimeo as well. We have been using Vimeo for a long time before we started getting involved with Screencast-O-Matic, so you will see some of our videos hosted on Vimeo. That's because we're already paying it and we've got hundreds of videos on there, so we're not going to actually move them all over to Screencast-O-Matic. But if we started again, I would just use Screencast-O-Matic, so it is a brilliant app.